Welcome back to Inside Gateway. We are on the road this week. Came all the way to Bluffton to be with Quinn and Sarah. So today we're going to talk about foster care. So, very squeaky.
It is a squeaky chair.
So, how long have you been foster parents?
Going on 8 years. Been licensed for 8 years in June.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, wow. So what led you down that road?
We both love kids. I'm the oldest of 12. Both were teachers, and we weren't able to have our own kids. And we had an extra bedroom, and so we were like, how should we use that? We tossed around the idea of doing the foreign exchange student program, and that just never worked out. So we thought about foster care and called Gateway, and yeah.
And two, we realized that we could get licensed to foster, and that didn't necessarily mean we had to take a placement. So we kind of knew that and thought, well, it's be kind of an easy place to be type thing. So not very led, was it? But
we definitely put a lot of prayer into it. I think we also kind of thought, we'll just keep taking steps, and if God closes the door, then then that's fine. But He didn't.
Yeah.
So
over that 8 years, how many different placements did you have in your house over that time? Or is it pretty? Yeah,
we've had, I think, 15 placements. Wow. And then, I don't know how many, do the math real quick, you're the math teacher, but 42 kiddos total. So a lot of respite situations too.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So what ages did you primarily deal with?
Primarily, wow, that was.
It wasn't primarily.
Yeah. We've had a couple babies.
We started off with a teenager who was a foot taller than me, which isn't hard to do because I'm short. And we did school aged at first because we were both working still. And then we had toddlers and a 3-week-old, and so we've had.
Full gamut of all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I can't speak into the foster care, but obviously being a house parent and adopting. You're taking kids into your home that necessarily maybe aren't born biologically. So it's an expansion of the heart, and it's a really cool thing. So how did God expand your heart through that time?
For me, it seemed like the more that we fostered, it seemed like the less I knew about kids. And it reminds me of, we just had a respite situation where somebody, mom came and gave us a baby and said, hey, just a couple hours, just babysitting a couple hours. But when she dropped it off, she said, this baby is showing me I know nothing about kids. And that's saying something because she'd had her own baby, she'd fostered babies. So she seemed like she should have known a lot, but even in that time, this baby was colicky and a lot of stuff. And so it was like, you know what? The farther I go, the less I know, and I just really need to rely on the team, rely on Sarah, and rely on God. And yeah.
We were both teachers, so we were used to at a private school. So I feel like at a private school, there's a little bit more trust with the parents, and so it was. We had a lot of relationships with the kids. Like we'd have the high school kids over before fostering, and kind of mentor them a little bit. And so it felt like the next step of that a little bit with foster care, where the kids are in your house, but and just praying for God's love, to see the kids and love them like God loves them, because sometimes they're frustrating, just like we're frustrated, human beings are, so, and He definitely provided that love. Yeah, it's a miracle how God does that.
So how did the kids, and maybe obviously they're all different, but how did they respond to you guys maybe not being the biological parents or their normal caretakers? Was there sometimes it's attachment early is very easy for some of those kids, but then if you had them for a longer time period, there's maybe some of that kind of that trauma really kind of comes to the surface.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the kids, not the really toddlers and babies, but a lot of the kids, they have a honeymoon period. They come in, they want to kind of please you, they want to be nice, not a lot of things like that. And so they tend to really keep a lot of their behaviors back that would be normal for them. But after a while, they just kind of become comfortable. And so when those behaviors actually come out that are normal, it is frustrating, but at the same time, it's them. Yeah. And so you start to see that. For me, it can be hard to not being mom and dad, but at the same time, being in that place. So for me, it varied per child
Sure.
on how they responded.
If you think about like the concept of foster care, like we tell our kids don't talk to strangers, but with fostering, like all of a sudden these kids are put in a stranger's
Sure.
house and it's like, and trust them and open
Yeah.
up to them, and it's kind of a, so you're right, the honeymoon period, and kind of a little bit we breathe a sigh of relief when the honeymoon period is over and we see those behaviors flare up, because then they are comfortable, and then we can start hopefully working at the heart of
Yeah.
them. And yeah, I definitely say the older kids. But there was one little toddler too who came in, and she was pretty much like emotional. It's like she would smile a little bit. But I remember a couple months into it, maybe a month into it, I took a picture one day and just looked back, and I was like, oh, that's pure joy on her face.
Yeah.
And that was just so exciting, and it's just so rewarding to see that whenever they're just themselves, and you get a glimpse of the kid inside of them.
It's really good.
We've also experienced where I remember going to another respite situation. I picked up a child, and this little toddler came and just came into my arms like they knew me, and they didn't. And so it kind of feels good in that respect, but at the same
Yeah.
time, that wasn't normal, and you knew that there was a lot of
Sure.
baggage behind that. So sometimes, that really warm, fuzzy, hey, I know you, isn't good. So yeah, it does.
Sure.
I guess it just does depend.
Mm-hmm.
So how was Gateway's role, or the staff, the foster care? Like, who did you work with, and kind of what was that relationship like?
Sure. Let's see, who's the first?
Oh, the list is long in 8
Yeah.
years. I think Terry Mueller was our first.
Okay.
Back when she was in foster care,
Mhm.
she was our first case manager. Brittany Eisman, Ashley Mayball, Abby Greitman. Yeah, there's so many.
And there's
Michelle.
Dan,
Yeah.
and then Michelle. So
Okay.
kind of the managers along with the caseworkers tend to change, and we are so thankful for Gateway. I know a lot of times we have a lot of trainings, and we do trainings with DCS families
Mhm.
or whatever, and a lot of times the DCS workers are there for, or there's a DCS worker that's there for the parents, but there's so many foster families that they can't service them the way Gateway does.
Mhm.
I remember just this last placement that we had after they left, we were at a training, and Dan, the foster care manager, was like, hey, how are you guys doing? Just really cared.
Mhm.
And that's just evident. You hear they pray for you. And we'll get those questions, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do? And I don't think the DCS workers have time to do that.
Right.
We've had some really good
Oh,
DCS
yeah.
caseworkers along the way, but you hear horror stories too about sometimes you can't get in touch with a case manager, and it's really important. And so Gateway's been able to bridge that, and just 24/7 support. I've called our case manager before at 11 o'clock at night, like, what do we do with this
Mhm.
situation? And yeah, that support is amazing. And also, because of Gateway's involvement, we've had a couple placements end up as either pre-adopted or adopted with family and friends, which has been really cool. And if we had been licensed through DCS, I don't know how
Sure.
those stories would have
Yeah.
ended. God is amazing. He can
Mhm.
do whatever he wants, but Gateway had a big part in both those stories playing out. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
They
No,
want to
that's
see
awesome.
kids in Christian homes, and yeah.
So, over the 8 years, what's kind of a fun memory? Because obviously it's going to be hard, if anything. And like for me, humor is something that helps me kind of just cope,
Mhm.
I guess, or level out my levels, I guess. And so, what was a funny memory or something that kept you going?
Yeah.
For me, we had a teen come into our house, and a little while later, his dog came.
Okay.
And so,
Not in the house,
Right,
just to a
not-
house.
but it was a really neat dog, but it wasn't his home, and so he took off. And this teen had told us, he was raised in, I'm not sure it's witchcraft or Satanism or whatever, a lot of talk. But the thing is, he didn't believe in God, and that was very evident. And so we were driving around trying to find this dog, and calling people and stuff, and finally like, well, if we find this dog, I'll believe in God or something to that. And I just had to smile. I thought, I bet I know where this is going, because we prayed about it, and it's like, you know what? God's really good about showing himself. well, we did find the dog, and it was just kind of something to laugh about. That, yeah, you know what, God's going to show Himself. If you put Him to the test, He really will show Himself. So, just something that kind of it made me smile, and even made him smile once he kind of realized it too. So
that's great.
Maybe not so funny, but just really special. We had another set of teens come in, and kind of the same thing. They had just not been exposed to Jesus very much. And on the second day, the one kid was like, "Just so you know, I don't believe the Bible, and you can't convince me," basically. We're like, that's fine, whatever. A couple months in, he had been, with Sunday school teachers and hearing about Jesus in our home, and his grandma and his mom both had said separately how they could just see a light shining from these kids, and that just God. I mean, it was so neat. I mean, this family would also have atheist roots, or it was just amazing that even the grandma and the mom. So it's not just, we're not only affecting these foster kids, but we also try to reach out, and it's not always possible, but to the biological family too, and that's really neat. To see God's power just kind of go.
Yeah, that's what I love about the mission of Gateway Woods, because it is about serving the family and blessing them, so then they can in turn bless others, and that's a testimony right there. That happening, the mission being lived out. So, is there anything else you guys would like to share or add?
Anything?
Oh, there's just so many. I don't know. I mean, fostering is so hard, but it's just so rewarding. We were talking before, and just I guess if God is calling you, like don't put it off. Don't. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I couldn't do it because I get attached to the kids, and I couldn't let them go." And I'm like, that's just not the mission of Jesus. Like his lifestyle wasn't do what's comfortable for you and protect your heart. Like that was pretty much the opposite of what Jesus spoke. But there's just so many blessings. Like 42 kids have been able to touch us and teach us and help us learn how selfish we are, and we wouldn't have had that if we had been too scared or been afraid of the hurt, because it does hurt. But it's the love is always worth it.
And it does. It goes past the foster kids in the home. It goes past even the parents. We're still in communication with some of the foster kids.
We're grandpa and grandma now.
One of our foster kids, they had a kid, and it's really neat because it's neat to be able to play that role. Not so neat in our 30s being grandpa and grandma. It's kind of weird, but it is neat. And even for birthdays or holidays, we still have one of our foster kids still spend time with the family because we are family. So there's a huge blessing, but again, it's a mission, and if that's what God's calling you to, there shouldn't be a debate. You have to do it. But then again, if God's not calling you to it, again, there shouldn't be a debate. So just wherever God's calling you.
Speaking of God calling, you guys are heading up to Gateway, and so we're super excited to have you guys up there. And I hope to interview you a little bit more once your feet are wet about house parenting.
Oh boy.
So just speak a little bit of that transition, what led you from being teachers here down in Wells County, now going up to Leo to become house parents.
Sure.
It actually had to do with our last two placements. They ended up being moved into a pre-adoptive home quite a bit earlier than what we had been kind of told to expect. House parenting's always been on my heart, but it just seemed like the timing never was right with either the foster kids we had in our home. We didn't want to disrupt their placement, unless God made it obvious. And with teaching also, he didn't really want to quit his job in the middle of the school year. So these kids ended up moving in December, and we were like, oh, well, if they're gone in December, that would we knew Abby would need time to transition just with the grieving process, because we'd had them for almost 2 years. So it was, a big loss. It seemed to give us enough time to kind of transition there, and then also every 4 years in foster care, you have to re-up, and it's quite a big process. So we're like, that'd be a natural break. And then with your school year ending, so we started praying about it, and I'll let you.
Yeah. So we were hoping to start in June. And the thing is, we really expected to have these foster kids up through middle to end of this year. So and by that time, another school year would have started. We would have had to decide about foster care. I mean, just everything would have started. But our license ends in June, and we have to reapply in June for our foster license. School year ends in May, obviously, so that's over. So it just kind of gave us the time we needed to really, really prove it out. And I mean, with just how the timing worked, it was just amazing. It was a God thing.
It was,
So,
yeah. We were ready to be like, we're done pursuing house parenting. We're just gonna keep fostering, and that right whenever we said we're done, God give us a no, give us a piece for a no, is when God just started like, nope, and started like pushing it more and more. And so, yeah, we both felt really peaceful and very nervous about this. It's a whole new adventure, but we're very excited though too, to come join the team up there.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we couldn't be more thrilled, and there's obviously the staff that are house parents, Beth and I, plenty of others that go to Leo that have already been house parents, so reach out if you have questions. You're already being an answer to prayer, but there's so many other prayers that are going to be lifted up for you guys, and just all the time. And so it's such a great community, and just very thankful to have you guys a part of that. So, and hopefully in a year from now or whatever, when I get to sit down with you again, we'll get some good stories and see how God's working in you. But anything else that you would like to share to potential house parents or foster parents, because we need both at Gateway, that you haven't already shared?
I guess just be open to how God is asking you to help the orphans and widows, and just be obedient.
Be willing to be moldable too, because sometimes I can't. That's not a very good answer to God. I just can't do this. Well, of course you can't. That's what my grace is for, right? So, be moldable. So. Yeah,
I don't know if anybody's really caught it, but we're kind of doing a little push for foster care, and so there's some statistics that have been about every Saturday. I'm posting them up, and it's kind of a small little window of the need. And I think the last one that I saw was, of the 15,000 or so kids available that need to be, or in the system of foster care, like 1 in 3 are placed outside their county. And specifically, I know Wells County needs a lot, so that's something that we can pray for. And I think, hopefully, Bluffton North, we're going to do some sort of presentation coming up on June 9th, I think.
Okay, good.
Encouraging.
Yeah.
So, I'm just encouraged by you guys just answering the call, not only to foster care, but now to house parenting. It's just encouraging for someone like me, that's part of my job to kind of promote this mission, but obviously it's God doing all the work. It's just awesome to see results.
Yes.
Because it can be discouraging sometimes when you put forth the word, you put forth the prayers, and it's like cricket, but God answers. So.
Yeah, we've had a few kids that we've had to ask for removal, and that's just a sinking feeling, like, boy, we tried everything we knew and we weren't enough. And that's, but some of the kids, like down the road, you see that those seeds are growing and sprouting, and we don't know God's timing, and so all we have to do is just be faithful in planting seeds, and then it's up to Him. So,
Amen. Well, I enjoyed this talk, and looking forward to see you guys soon. So please pray for house parents. Please pray for foster parents. We have other careers opening. Volunteers are needed. Summer's right around the corner, so please join us this summer, whether it's for a day, a few hours, or a week, or even all summer. I think Cooper Beer is our new summer volunteer coordinator, so we're excited to have him back on campus. He was a house parent kid, #HPKidLife, a while ago, so we're bringing him back. And so we'll see you next week.